Meet the new Mini Clubman. It's the estate of the mini world and it's now entering its second generation. So to see how fun and practicality marry up in the new Clubman, we've come to sunny San Sebastian in Spain to try it out. But there's a bit of a twist. We're not just going to drive it on the roads around here, we're going to trek all the way back to the UK in just one day.
Our route will see us driving through 3 countries, covering 800 miles and taking somewhere between 13 to 15 hours.
It's the driving holiday you remember taking as a kid, just without the holiday bit. So I've been driving this car for a couple of hours now, and my first impression really is how hemmed in I feel, and it's for a number of reasons. Firstly, the roof extends quite far forward and means I've got quite a small windshield to the front, and it means when I've pulled up at traffic lights I've had to sort of peek underneath to see when I can go again. Added to that, there are high window lines around the car and visibility at the back is quite poor. Added to all of this, we have the anthracite roof lining installed in this car. It's an optional extra, it costs about £150, but it makes the car feel even darker and more glum than it did before. In fact, I feel like I'm in a moody teenager's bedroom. We've been on the road now for about 3 hours and we've pulled up outside this beautiful chateau to take a closer look at what we're driving. Perhaps the biggest difference is that the new Clubman now comes with 4 full-sized doors.
I'm 6 foot tall, and with the driver's seat set up for me, there was plenty of headspace and knee space in the back.
The signature split doors of the Clubman remain, but as you can see, the boot itself is not very big. Those who are buying an estate car for practicality may want to look elsewhere because other than maybe a few small suitcases, you're not going to get much in here without folding the rear seats down.
Mini expects around half of its customers to add the chili pack. Costing just shy of £3,000, this adds features like park distance control, LED headlights, automatic aircon, heated sports seats at the front and the Mini drive modes.
The Mini has always been at home, perhaps most on country roads. The same was true as the last Clubman and the same is true of this one. I'm driving the 150 brake horsepower diesel version of the car. It's the lower powered of the 2 diesel engines that are available from launch, and while it's 40 brake horsepower behind the S-powered version, it's still very nice to drive, very enjoyable. You can push it through corners. You don't get an awful lot of body roll and you can really feel how nippy it is. As you might be able to tell from my costume change, we didn't make it in one day. Having spent about 8 hours or so behind the wheel of this car, I've come to a few conclusions. Though Mini set out to create a more grown-up car with this Clubman, I think it's still going to appeal to those who want a lively, fun experience.
The last Clubman suffered from a stiff ride. In this new version, while the suspension still feels a bit firm, it's by no means uncomfortable and a real improvement.
You do get a reasonable amount of space in this car. You could get 3 adults across the rear bench of this car, though the one in the middle isn't going to be comfortable on long journeys. We've recently discovered that from out the rear windshields, the windscreen wipers only covers about half of the window, which makes visibility even worse. So the claimed fuel economy of this car is 68.9 miles to the gallon, which sounds fantastic if you've got a lot of long journeys lined up. However, looking at the trip computer, we're struggling to get beyond the low 50s, high 40s, and certainly nowhere near the 60s.
We'll test just how fuel efficient this car is and how many emissions come out the tailpipe when we get it into our lab to run our thorough tests.
The saving grace of this car for those planning lots of long road journeys is the noise, or rather the lack of it. Unless you're accelerating quite heavily, you're not really going to be aware of the noise the engine is making, even at motorway speeds. What you will hear is the wind noise, but it's not so intrusive that it'll drive you balmy over a long journey, such as the one I'm doing now. Hello, welcome back. We've left the sunny beaches of San Sebastian well behind us now, and we're, as you can tell from the rain and the cloud, we're back in the UK. We're currently on our final leg back to London, and as I've been in the driver's seat so long, it's time to take a closer look at what's around you. Starting with these chunky toggle switches and ignition system, I must admit I love them. I think they're very retro chic and it fits well with the rest of the car, particularly the new generation's instrument cluster, which is nice, simple, well styled and well positioned for the driver. All new Clubmans come with sat-nav as standard, typically on a 6.5-inch colour screen. What I actually have here is the 8.8 XL version. It's part of the media pack, which at the time of launch costs about £1,000, and I'm not convinced I'd fork out the extra money on top of the cost of the car just for the bigger screen. This is it. We're back in London, we've made it, and we are stuck in traffic. But it's a good thing, because that gives me the chance to talk about something I haven't mentioned so far, and it's a biggie: the price. The Clubman doesn't come cheap. You'll pay £20,000 for a 3-cylinder petrol basic version. The car I'm in now costs just over £22,000, and if you want one of the higher powered S versions, you're looking at another £2,000 or so on top of those prices. So who's this car for? If you need an estate, this isn't going to be the car for you. But if you're a Mini fan, you want something fun to drive, you need something slightly bigger than the hatchback, and you're willing to pay the money for it, this is the car for you. Does it have what it takes to be a which best buy? We'll find out once we get it through our test lab, and then we'll reveal the answer.
Click on the links below to sign up for a £1 trial to Which, see our review of the latest Mini Cooper, and to find out who tops our table of Best Buy estates.